Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. Who took Grogu from the Jedi Temple during Order 66? That's the million-dollar question many fans have had ever since Chapter 13, when Ahsoka revealed part of Grogu's backstory. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have been doing a great job of slowly piecing together his backstory in both The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So as we go into the third season in February of next year, I thought it might be a good time to revisit this topic, with some new information and some new theories as well. Now notice that I didn't title this video Who Rescued Grogu, but rather Who Took Him. Now the reason I've done this is because a lot of people assume he was saved from Order 66, but it's just as likely he was taken by someone for sinister reasons. After all, Ahsoka does say he was taken and then his mind goes dark. So in this video, my dear friends, I'm going to be going through each of the likely candidates. Now, I've talked about this topic about 3 times before, but the reason this one is different is because since the last video, we've had the Book of Boba Fett and the Kenobi series, so those are going to inform this to some extent. Now, I will say that everyone's got their own headcanon and theories as to who took Grogu, so if the person you think took him is not on this list, then let me know in the comments down below. And before we dive into it, guys, if you've not done so already, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below, and also give the bell a good old tickle to be alerted every time that I post a new video. So without much further ado, and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we begin with a candidate who I think really represents the title of this video, an unusual, out of left field character who very few people think about when it comes to Grogu being taken from the Jedi Temple. I'm of course talking about the Mirialan Jedi who turned into the Seventh Sister, an Inquisitor that we see in Star Wars Rebels. Now during the Order 66 flashback in the Book of Boba Fett, there is an Easter egg on the wall, which many fans have talked about and many assume is Barriss Offee's crest, but this assumption is a big mistake. It's not unique to her, it's the Mirialan Jedi symbol, which also applies to Luminara Unduli and the unnamed Seventh Sister. Now it cannot be Luminara because she was on Kashyyyk at the time of the temple raid, so she's pretty much out of the question. And while Barriss Offee is an option, we don't know her whereabouts, it's very likely she'd still be in prison for bombing the Jedi Temple. The only other Mirialan Jedi at this time would have been the Seventh Sister, and I will say guys, there are hints in Star Wars Rebels that she may have been the one who took Grogu. An often overlooked line that she speaks to Ahsoka during their duel implies a desire to have children, or maybe hints that at one point she did try to have one. As we saw in Rebels, the Inquisitors tried to steal Force-sensitive children, and afterwards when Ahsoka tells the Seventh Sister that she knows why she's trying to steal them, the Inquisitor replies, well, who doesn't want to be a mother? While this was a very overlooked line, there could be a possible connection to Grogu. Maybe the Seventh Sister was obsessed with motherhood, and so during the Jedi Temple raid, when she was still a Jedi, she tried to take Grogu from the temple but was caught by the clones. They probably reported her to Vader or the Emperor, and this could be when Grogu's mind goes dark, and maybe he was shipped to Mount Tantiss or somewhere else, and instead of killing the Seventh Sister, because she was able to salvage such a rare youngling, they offered her the chance of survival by giving up her Jedi ways and becoming an Inquisitor, the tragic reality of so many of them. It would be such a fantastic retrospective connection if that's the route Filoni takes, and as you see, there is a bit of evidence that supports the theory. As a Rebels fan, I always thought it was such a shame she's such a throwaway character. So that in my opinion is the most obscure pick, but it is a possibility. So next up guys, we have Jocasta Nu, one of my all-time favourite characters. The Jedi Librarian is a wonderfully mysterious woman, and one of the few Jedi who knew that Anakin was Darth Vader. Jocasta survived beyond the Great Jedi Purge for a short while, and she attempted to preserve and gather whatever she could of the Jedi Order's legacy. She even recovered a holocron with the name of every Force-sensitive child in the galaxy. Before Darth Vader confronted and killed her, it's very possible given her location at the time and position within the temple that she was the one who rescued Grogu. At this stage, and until proven otherwise, she is a very likely candidate, and as I teased in a previous video, that's not the last we've seen of Jocasta Nu, but more on that another time. So next up, my dear friends, we have the clones themselves. What if the clones are the ones who took Grogu? As I mentioned in the Seventh Sister section, what if they took him straight to the Emperor? Part of Grogu's mind going dark might be that he was experimented on, before years later ending up on Arvala 7, and if Mount Tantiss is the location, then they can explore this in future seasons of The Bad Batch. Our next candidate is Quinlan Vos. When the Kenobi series was airing, I made a separate video dedicated to the connection between the two characters, but I want to expand on my thoughts here. Whether you loved it or hated it, the Path was a really awesome concept to have come out of the Kenobi series. The idea that the late Teller Durith, Roken, and others are secretly protecting Force sensitives is really cool, and Quinlan Vos was name dropped as one of the Jedi who helps out from time to time, confirming he did indeed survive Order 66. If Lucasfilm so choose, they can take this a step further and in a different project or future season of the Kenobi show, give us an extension of his story. And Quinlan being name dropped got many fans wondering if Grogu was rescued and smuggled through the Path at some stage. If so, could Quinlan have been the one to rescue him? Interesting food for thought. Another candidate, especially for those on the Mace Lives train, is Master Windu himself. The theory goes that after being blasted through the window at the hands of Palpatine's Force lightning on Coruscant, Mace Windu fell but was able to control his landing. After all, we have seen many Jedi fall from great heights and survive. If you pardon the pun, in that moment he realised the betrayal of the insidious Supreme Chancellor and soon-to-be Emperor. So just before Operation Nightfall, he ran to the Jedi Temple, bruised, betrayed, angry, and without an arm, and he salvaged as many younglings and Padawans as he could, the priority being Grogu. After all, Mace was one of the few Jedi Masters who in some part knew about Yoda's backstory and the scarcity of his species. Though not confirmed, if Grogu was the son of Yoda, Mace would have been the few Jedi who knew this, and he realised the importance of the child, so he ran to where Grogu was and took him. Now, there are so many problems with this theory, even as someone who is on the Mace Lives train. For one thing, Grogu was seemingly present during Operation Nightfall, although where he was watching from is unknown and deliberately ambiguous. And a bigger question, why didn't Mace Windu alert more Jedi? And the biggest question of all is, where did he go after that, and where was he during the reign of the Empire? It's part of the reason that him possibly appearing in the Book of Boba Fett, or maybe a future season of The Mandalorian, would be very confusing indeed. You'd have to explain why he didn't help the Jedi cause after Order 66, and where he's been all that time. Now, as I said, and as you guys know, I'm firmly on the Mace Lives train, but they'd better come up with a very good explanation for where he's been, otherwise it makes very little sense. So those are the main candidates. I've heard other theories with other characters, but they mostly don't add up. I will say some honourable mentions include R2-D2, Oppo Rancisis, and Yoda himself. I would say Yaddle, but big spoiler warning, Tales of the Jedi reveals what happens to her. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What do you think of these candidates, especially the first one, the obscure one, the Seventh Sister? Let me know who you think rescued or took Grogu from the Jedi Temple. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.